This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and energy work. From the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready Set Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than host, as I too am traveling, supporting others, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy Searight. Today, joining me is Cheryl Murphy. Now, she is a wellness intuitive, evidential medium, and author who uses her abilities to guide people into making life path decisions. Through what she calls energy transformation, she helps people embark on a journey to raise their vibration for enhanced well being. For many, it can be a rewarding and profoundly transformative. Energy transformation center sessions are designed to help people increase their frequency while aligning their mind, body, and spirit for a more balanced and harmonious everyday life. Now, Cheryl guides people through mindfulness exercises to help cultivate a deeper mind and body connection and live in the present moment. Mindfulness can release old negativity, open up positive energies, and can transform your life. She insists and assists in clearing blockages of old traumas that may hold us back through various release methods. Now, she helps to release and heal emotional wounds that may be hindering energetic growth, allowing people to experience emotional freedom, creativity, and enhanced sense of purpose. Welcome, Cheryl, to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Wonderful. So let's begin our journey together. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a evidential medium and psychic, and it runs in my family. Actually, I don't know if how much you've read about me or know about me, but the women in my family are all psychic. It's really amazing how when I grew up, there were books around Edgar Casey in our house, Sylvia Brown. Like it was natural for us to talk about this topic. And so my brother and I would study at a young age or play around with it as, kids do, light a candle, have a seance, that type of feeling. But it really was feeling spirit and sensing spirit at a very young age. I'd say, it came as a glow. That's really my first experience with spirit. It came as a light in my bedroom, a glow. And it was positive. It was like a family feeling, or maybe just a family of children, if you think of the playfulness of that energy. And they were really just coming to wish me well on my journey here on earth. And then when I, came into my teen years, I knew this is what I wanted to study. And then I actually had an angel experience, right? I had an angel experience in my 30s where the angels came to me at my home and really directed me. They spoke to me. I had this amazing experience, this epiphany, if you will, where I saw all this illumination in my living room. And it was angels, is as if they were saving my life. They said, "We're going to put you in this lifeboat. Like, we need you full time." Because I was really doing this on the side or, in the evening, part time, always wanting it to be more and more of a full time career, for example, because it is a calling. I always want to
Mhm.
share that with people. It's a
Yeah.
vocation. I feel very drawn to do this work. But it was with the angels that said, "Look, no, don't worry. We need you to be our voice." And so that's how I feel my path really opened up. And it's about the angels coming through. And then as soon as they came to me in that experience, gosh, 12 years ago at least, people have just been coming to me, arriving at my door, or how you meet people through word of mouth. And then the website started, and then spirit just kept coming back to me a few times with experiences that you just cannot deny.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you would definitely say this found you, right?
It
Came
it
knocking on
really
your door.
does. It does. You cannot walk away from it or ignore it if the spirit world or the universe wants you to do this work. And that's how I felt. I
Absolutely.
felt like, look, I'm going to need help. And I never really thought about it a whole lot, how it was going to come about until I had that amazing experience. And so nowadays, I help people really connecting with their departed loved ones. I help
Mm.
people who have uh, pets or animals that have crossed over, even living pets and animals. I'm an animal communicator. I help with health and wellness intuition, so I do those types of readings as well. And really love and relationships also, maybe a compatibility feeling. I know that Reiki is a big part of what you do. I have certainly worked with Reiki, and I've worked with other healing modalities. So I've kind of developed my own energy healing system.
Course.
I love it though. So I love how I work with my clients on energy. And usually it is around a physical ailment or
Mm,
even removing blocks, so to speak, if you're wanting to manifest
right.
something specific in your life.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And you'll find that many people, when they do come to Reiki, as they, evolve, they may have their own way of doing it and their own system that they create. So that's perfectly fine if you feel that calling. I know in my family, your story about how those in your family who have this gift, my grandmother had it. My mother had it, but my mother is very Bible based. So my mother just fought this and it was like a no. And then it's came through me. And now I'm seeing my daughters know things. We had gone somewhere to, like a drive through, and it's a particular drive through that I go quite frequently here. And I have a little friend that works there and we check on her all the time. And my daughter was here and she told us a story that happened to her that day. And my daughter turned to me and told me some information. She
Oh.
said, "This is going to happen to that girl." And I'm like, "What?" And I found out the very next day, the girl said, "This is what happened." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, my daughter just told me this yesterday." So I see it in my children now,
Oh,
right? But
it's
it's very
beautiful.
different than my mother that, no, we don't do that. That's not of God. That's not of light. She kind of really took it in another direction, but it was through the Reiki that it helped me kind of break
Mhm.
away from that culturally created self so that I could let it flow in. And so I let my daughters have a choice to it. I mean, we're able to, believe and, pray and be a part of the church and God, but also we have this ability as well.
Oh,
So
wonderful that you're
yeah.
nurturing that and letting that come out naturally for them.
Right, right, right. And through our line, it was very vivid, vivid dreams, like
Mhm,
almost like you can watch a movie
mhm.
and things come up. And it was just that sense of knowing, like we just knew. How do you know? We just know. Yeah.
Right, and
Very
that would be
interesting.
a clear cognizance, that inner
Mhm.
knowing, how you just know
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And seeing, my daughters kind of evolve in it. So it's a very different, my mother would take me to the bookstore. She would go to the Christian section, and I'm like, 8 or 9 years old. And I was right there with, the tarot cards and things. And she's like, "Get over here. That's not where we're supposed to go."
And, in my family, we also use tarot cards, but we have a lot of Native American in our family. I don't know if you do, but
Beautiful.
I know. So we have a lot of Native American like ceremonies or
Okay.
rituals that we do. We learn
Yeah.
from that type of a Cherokee lineage. So it's amazing when it does run in your family
Hmm.
that even the men in our family now, I can say, are very, very intuitive. I know my brother is super, super psychic, super,
Hmm.
very much an energy healer as well.
Yeah.
So it's really the men becoming stepping into their own
Yeah.
sensitivity as well. Yeah.
Yeah. My son is like a master manifester, and so is my youngest. And my oldest as well. They're master manifestors. I mean, just to the detail, it's like, oh my goodness, it's just incredible seeing it unfold. And they're so, yeah, I'm just going to manifest. I'm not going to worry. I'm going to manifest, where I was a warrior, right?
Yeah.
And now seeing them, it's like, yeah, it'll be taken care of. And I'm like, wow, how did I make these kids that, that have such faith, as I was always like worrying. So my goodness.
Those kids, they come into this world with so much more, as you mentioned, so much more heightened awareness.
Exactly.
They already
Exactly.
know so much coming in.
All right. Well, you work with your own energy. You are an evidential medium. So, first, tell our listeners what an evidential medium is and what
Mhm.
are some of the common misconceptions that you find that people believe about mediums.
So being an evidential medium means that I bring through or I connect with the spirit world with the departed loved one and I receive information that can be validated or confirmed from the person I'm working with, the sitter or the client that we call them the sitter, usually the recipient. So I bring through information about the departed loved one's lives or what they used to do or their hobbies or their habits or what they loved, for example. But information that can be validated, so that would be considered evidence. And usually there is also a message of love, of hope, of realizing that, they're fine on the other side. That is a huge question that people always ask. Are they okay? Are my loved ones okay? Or are they safe? Right? Do they know that I still love them and I'm thinking about them and that I'm praying for them? And the answer is a resounding yes. Our departed loved ones are actually, with us. They watch us, they support us. Even the animals, right, that have passed over, they're sending us signs every day. As many people, right, we recognize signs and, feathers or coins. Those are common ones. Hummingbirds, rainbows, these are numbers, and a series of numbers can be messages from our loved ones. And our departed loved ones can be a spirit guide for us, right? They are helping us, they're guiding us and supporting us, right?
Right, right.
Some of the
Would
yeah, I know it is a great, and so some of the misconceptions I get are, well, can you do readings by phone or by Zoom? Like, does it have to be in person? Like, how does this energy thing work, right? But it's energy. If you believe in the power of prayer, if you believe in
Mhm.
the power of love, even that you can love someone far away or that they could hear you, even when your telephone rings and you know who's on the other side, right? Who's ringing the phone? Those are types of psychic senses or intuitive abilities that we're all picking up on and letting us know that energy is everywhere. It's instantaneous. And I do believe really more and more people are becoming more comfortable with that too.
Yeah, yeah. It used to be very taboo. You didn't tell anybody. And, thank goodness for social media because it seems to really put it out there. So it's not as taboo anymore. I mean, TikTok and Instagram, they're talking about it. So when I had talked to my children about Reiki, they already knew what it was. They already knew about these things because there was a particular person that they had been watching or following. So they
Yeah.
were aware of it. I think people aren't understanding that it's kind of a different frequency as if you turn the radio channel to kind of listen into it. I have a friend here who is also a medium, and I remember my dad had passed a couple years ago, and I was doing an event with her, and it was a yoga event, like a day retreat, and I'm going around, and she said, "I think your father's here, right? In spirit."
How
And
wonderful.
so she started, and I don't think at the time she would label herself as an evidential medium, but you could tell from how it was coming through that that was the direction she was
Mhm.
eventually going to go. And she was saying, "Your dad's saying, look at you go," like, and saying things. And I'm in El Paso. She's lived in El Paso her whole life. And there's just certain words that we would say in Pittsburgh that she may not be familiar with. And I remember I said something, "Can you ask him this?" And she asked him, and she said, "I don't know what this word means, but I'm going to say it." And he said, "hogwash." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds like my
Oh
dad
my
because he grew
God,
up in the country."
how
So, how much more evidence than that? You know what I mean? For someone who wouldn't even know what that is. She's like, "What does that mean?"
absolutely. And another misconception is language. Now that you're bringing it up, people want to
Yeah.
know, well, if my loved one spoke a different language,
Yeah.
other than the one that you're used to speaking, English, right? Would you
Hmm.
be able to communicate with them? And the
Yeah.
answer is yes. People who
Hmm.
speak multiple languages come through that don't even know English, but it's a universal love. It's an energy, it's a power, it's a
Yeah.
feeling, it's a
Hmm.
knowing, as you were mentioning.
Yeah.
So yeah, so really, even I've recited a word or two in another language, not knowing what
Hmm.
I was saying, and then
Yeah.
absolutely the person can understand that. That's even more evidence that that's their
Yeah.
loved one. So it's
Yeah.
just a wonderful way to connect to departed loved ones. It is through the language of love, right? The energy of love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Since I've been here in El Paso, I'll get messages in Spanish and I don't know it very well. And I often tease, like, I just need to go to kindergarten and learn from the beginning. And words and things will come through. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I'll have to look it up or I'll ask my friend and it comes through. And then I give them that message. And so it does come, or I'll pray and just say, listen, I need my guides here to help me. I'm doing my best.
That is wonderful. That is
Yeah.
wonderful that you're
Mhm.
bringing through, multiple languages and helping
Yeah.
many more people, right?
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
everyone may speak English, and how wonderful
Correct.
for us to be able
Yeah.
to, or how wonderful for spirit to be able to
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember one of my clients, she said, do I have a message? And I heard like La Sombra or something. And I looked it up and it means like the shadow or something. And I was like, oh my goodness. And it she did validate it a week later that something happened that actually had the word shadow in it. I'm like, oh my goodness. So
Yes.
it's quite interesting. So it takes you back a little bit when
It
it's like,
does.
whoa,
I
like,
know. It does take you back, especially sometimes when the client or your person you were working with didn't understand the information at the
mhm,
time, but
yeah.
kept it like in the back of her pocket,
Mhm.
went home and kind of listened for it or waited for it to appear. I mean, that type of information, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And lately, the last 6 months, I had this when I was very young, and I really pushed it away. I could, you know how like you see the Long Island medium walking through the store, and she would pick things up from people. And I'm sure for the TV show, that's kind of staged, but I had a season of my life where that was happening and it was making me very scared and I really was pushing it back. Last 6 or 8 months, it's been coming in and I haven't been like, okay, wait a minute, they're going to think I'm crazy. But then I've gotten validation. And something big happened recently where I was getting my nails done and the person doing my nails, I felt something come through about her sister. And I was very concerned not to say anything to her, and I thought, this is going to scare her. And it turned out I ended up being correct on it. And I thought after that, you know what, I really need to tell people. But with Reiki, it's interesting when these things come up during a session, we're not encouraged. True, like a Zooey, you're not supposed to say these things because it's ego. So when I did my trainings, my teacher was like, Tracy, this is your ego. You have to place that ability aside because I would see things and feel things. And so for Reiki, and maybe that's why some take it and move on to something else, right? Because they may feel limited if they can't share those messages.
Mhm.
So,
Well, it's certainly through validation that you're
mhm.
finding, that you're on target, that your
Sure.
information you're giving is correct. So, really asking for validation and confirmation are two ways for a medium to know that what they're bringing through is correct.
Mhm.
Also, asking permission, working with people
Mhm.
that weren't expecting a reading, for example, but if you
Sure.
feel that strong nudge that where you have to say something, asking permission, can I
Mhm.
work with you? Can I give you a message? Are you
Yeah.
open to it? Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really, because it is all about their respect and you feeling
Mhm.
comfortable with them
Sure.
and them
Yeah.
really understanding that you're also someone they can trust.
Absolutely.
That's a lovely connection.
Wonderful. So, what do you wish your younger self knew about evidential mediumship or being a clairvoyant healer?
Yeah, I wish my younger self would know that there's so much more information available than we realize. There's so much more information available at our fingertips. And a lot of the information is fun. It can be validated, whether we're working with the past, present, or future, right?
Right.
Where I don't say I'm a fortune teller, but I do see
Mm.
possibilities or potentials in the future for
Sure.
people, right?
Sure.
But we have free will and we can always change that with our thoughts and actions and beliefs but really letting my younger self know that there is so much more available to you and to trust, right? Trusting your intuition or trusting that gut instinct, so important in our work, even being an energy healer and picking up what you do, but
Mhm.
trusting, also letting a younger self know, look, uh the energy around us is so diverse. I think that's what I'd like my younger self to know or have told her, is that it's a very diverse world out here that we're
Oh,
in,
yeah.
right? So just care for yourself, practice more self-care, keep your energy as clean or as balanced and grounded as you can. That's another thing I'd like
Right,
to,
right, right,
yeah,
right.
to get across.
right before the podcast, I was watching someone who had an interesting take on it. He said, if you're a light worker, be a light worker, not a light slave, right? And what that means is fill
Yeah.
your cup up too. You have to nourish yourself with that instead of constantly emptying your cup out and helping others. We always, as workers of the light and those that are put here to give messages from loved ones, we feel that need to constantly do that, but we need to also worry about ourselves too and take care and nourish ourselves.
Oh, well said. Well
Yeah,
said. And no coincidences about hearing that and really
sure.
sharing that with people that really, and I think this year specifically,
Oh, of
even
course.
more so, we want to practice self-care. We want to realize, look, we all need our own downtime. We all need
Hmm.
more rest. We can always get in the fast lane, definitely, but it is about slowing down the practice of really loving yourself and caring for yourself and doing what feels good first, like you said, before you go out and help other people. You've got to really put yourself as that priority. And that's really not being selfish at all. It is
Hmm.
about understanding your own health and your own healthcare energy system.
Beautiful. So, as you're out in the world here as an evidential medium, there's so many different people out there offering this. What are some qualities that you look for in an evidential medium?
Well, it is so look, the mediumship that I do and the mediumship my colleagues do, that I recommend also, we come from, I think, a higher caliber. We come from a
Hmm.
really high ethical perspective on how we bring through the information or how we even connect with people, where we offer our services. We're not out there to whatever that is, like sell. We
Yes.
offer our services and we allow the universe to attract or to bring us the people that we can help the most, right? So every day
Right.
I put that prayer out into the world, right? Let this be for my highest good. Let me attract those that I can best help or that may have something to learn from me. And then you really do have to release it and trust it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Mm.
So, what advice would you give someone who is just entering this type of work?
Yeah. So look, someone just, and I'm working with beginning, students in this moment. So
Sure.
look, it is about learning practices, having meditation practices, learning about your own energy, spending time every day or at least a few times a week, sitting in silence, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes. That is a wonderful way to start connecting with your own energy and then opening up to the spirit world. Another thing that I love to connect with people is to start keeping a journal, right? I
Mm,
like to call it a spiritual journal, right? For your spiritual library. Start documenting any dreams or experiences that you have. And also write down your questions that you have for spirit, because the universe is right there. The spirit world and the universe are our teachers, right? I
mhm.
mean, I can help you, but you will also be learning from this amazing resource that you is accessible to you. It's called your spirit team.
Right.
So yeah, starting with meditation and journaling are two of my big go-tos.
Beautiful. And I journal every day, even if I
Mhm.
don't have anything to say. I just sometimes write thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. That if that's all I can do to get there, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
try to do that. And I mean, magical things have happened, magical. And I'm not talking like I write something down and it happens the next day. There's things in that journal that have taken probably 3 years to
Mhm.
come to pass, but consistency, right? Faith, right?
Right.
Belief. It's happening. Write it down and make sure, I begin, thank you. As I write things, thank you, so yeah,
No, I teach a weekly healing prayer circle, which is free to
beautiful.
join. And we talk about prayer, we talk about meditation, we talk about the power of a thank you. Could be a
Hmm.
prayer in itself, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
just breathing can be your meditation. Taking 3 deep breaths can be your
yeah,
meditation. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I'm also sharing with people about manifesting or healing
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
using color as energy, right? And
yeah,
learning the power of energy that's all around us, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I do that. I love doing that. We have a beautiful community. It's free to join. I do that on Sunday nights. I love that.
Beautiful, beautiful. There's many different systems of Reiki. If people like begin like a little Google search, they'll find all these different systems of Reiki. And one of the styles of Reiki I do is money Reiki. And
Mm.
I had a class, and we had the little. I use play money because the universe does not know our currency here, right? Man makes up the value of the currency here. And I was doing the class, and then I put that $100 play bill right there with that intention of $100 coming in, and then the next morning I drove to drop something off at this donation bin. So I pull up, I get out of my Jeep, and there blew right at me $100 bill. And I looked at it first, I thought it was fake, right? Like, and it was real. And I was just like, you would have thought it was $1 million. And I'm like, thank you, El Paso. You made me $100 richer.
That's a communication right there, alignment. You're so in
Right.
alignment with the universe that you're
Yeah. Right.
manifesting even more and more money. Just
Right. And it was just like, what are the my daughter's like, are you like, she's watching this. She came to visit me. She's like, really? She's like, maybe there's something on it. Don't touch it. Like, maybe there's something wrong with it. I'm like, no, it's here.
I love those stories. I love those stories.
Yeah.
I was at the airport one time, and my father, who's crossed over, is a big guide for me, I'd like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and it was amazing how spirit can work,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I offered to step off this flight before they left, because the airline attendant needed the seat to fill a family, and
Mm-hmm.
so many vouchers were going out, and I accepted a voucher, and my father, I felt him in spirit working, saying, okay, have them book you on a first class ticket on the way home, just go ahead. And I was like, okay. And I was like, no, Dad, like, I'm okay, I'm good with what I have, I'm grateful. And my
Mm-hmm.
felt my father working with the travel agent, the ticket
Ah,
agent, to hand me a first class ticket. And that is just amazing. You never know the power
you
of
never
spirit. They
know.
just want to share their love. They want to know that
Absolutely.
by you giving in this world, comes back to you tenfold, right? Literally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what books do you recommend?
Oh my gosh, I have some really great books. Well, I always like to recommend Eckhart Tolle books, right? He talks about a
Yes.
new earth. And I do believe a new earth is around a new consciousness, right? It is
Right.
looking at this chapter by chapter on how we can create more of a present moment feeling by paying attention to what our thoughts are, what's our breath, what our awareness is, what is happening in this very moment. So I love recommending Eckhart Tolle. Okay.
Beautiful.
I,
Beautiful.
I, I do have another book I'd like to recommend. It's
Of course.
Barbara Brennan, Hands of Light. And
Okay.
Barbara Brennan is an energy worker and energy healer that I did some work with. And her book, Hands of Light, it's such a beautiful book to keep for your reference library, because it has wonderful pictures of energy fields, of the human aura field,
Mm,
and how to keep yourself healthy. And anyway, she goes into great description where I still like use it as a reference. It's just such a beautiful, like glossy pictures. And I'm
mm.
all about visual and color.
Yes.
So are you? So I always have to recommend that book.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, what other services do you offer? Classes, events, trainings?
I do. Well, right now I started this. I'm on my second year of a membership program. It's called
Mm,
Energy Transformation Sessions. What I
wonderful.
love about this, and we work on Zoom, and what I love about this program is every month I'm helping people understand more about their own energy field, how to keep their energy heightened, how to keep themselves energetically, spiritually fit, so to speak. So we work
Beautiful.
on releasing, we work on manifesting. And so I love my group. I have a membership program, as I said, monthly or annually. I do energy healings. That's a big bonus that I love doing on my energy transformation sessions. So,
Beautiful.
along with doing private readings, which I do mostly on Zoom or in person, even now that we're all back out, or I travel.
Yeah.
If you're not too far away from me, I'll certainly travel to where you are. And I do public demonstrations around mediumship. I offer a monthly Circle of Love event that I do. It's a very small, intimate online group where I meet you monthly. So you could sign up for that, my Circle of Love events, where I do mediumship readings for everyone in the circle.
Beautiful. And you are clairvoyant, right?
Mhm. I
Ordained minister,
Yes,
as
yes,
well as a certified was it hypnotherapist?
yes, hypnotherapist, right.
Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. So where can we find you if we're interested in what you have to
Mhm.
offer?
I have a wonderful website, mediumcheryl.com, and you can join my healing prayer circle there, join my newsletter, which you can take a free quiz on to find out which psychic ability your strength lies, right? So that's a
Goodness.
beautiful
Yeah,
10 question easy quiz to do. But really go to mediumcheryl.com, and I'm on social media at Medium Cheryl, Facebook, Instagram, and really finding out what I'm doing, what I'm all about. I always try to keep people informed where I'm heading next if I travel, which I do a couple of times a year. I'll travel outside of California to go do some events. So I'm always letting people know and giving them my updates.
beautiful. And people can tune in every Thursday, correct? You have a little show?
I have a wonderful podcast called Seeing Beyond Living Transformed that I do with a fellow medium, Kelly Eckhart. And we talk about all things spiritual. We talk about mediumship, feng shui. We had a wonderful numerologist on last week.
Hmm.
So that's on every Thursday night on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And we go on 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern every Thursday. So
Mhm.
it's a beautiful program. We do readings on our show too, so people can join in and ask us a question.
Excellent. Well, that ends the first part of our journey, and I'm going to continue to guide you into the second part, which are questions from our listeners. So here we go. Number one, how can people remove limiting beliefs, blocks, and old traumas?
Mhm. You know what I recommend for removing and releasing, because that really will help you develop your intuition. All
Mm,
right. So this is really a great question. Number one, it does always come down to forgiveness, right? We have to start forgiving others, forgiving ourselves. I always say write down things that you feel are obstacles, because really the more you can describe how they feel in your body, the more you can feel like you're creating, or why that block is stopping you, for example, you're actually releasing it while you're identifying it. So just acknowledging that we have a block or we're stuck can be a big deal just in the releasing, but it will come down to forgiveness. That is the beautiful thing about forgiveness, is that you're no longer holding on to it, even if it's just a little bit. Like we're still working on forgiving, or forgiveness around certain situations. We feel like we've done our work, but then it comes back 20 years later,
mhm.
so to speak, or another layer of it comes up.
Sure.
But look, we're all doing our best here. But even just moving a little bit into the forgiveness around that situation will open up 100 doors for you, 1,000 doors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Number two, how can people move forward from their feelings of being stuck in life, stressed, or angry?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people feeling stuck right now,
Oh,
and
yeah.
stress. I mean, we are almost too comfortable with the amount of
Mhm,
stress we're taking on, right? Or when you see
mhm,
people, like they're just almost too comfortable with that. So, look, it is about getting out of your own way. It is about stepping into being of service for others. So, I would say, look, donate clothing or your time or charity, volunteer, find an organization that you want to help and step in and learn more about them. That energy of helping others or being of service is really of a highest calling. And that'll
right.
really get you moving, right? When you find how good it feels to be a giver, right? It
Mhm,
feels better to even give than receive, right? Is what they
yeah.
say. Then you can really find out more reasons to appreciate your life and have that gratitude.
Yeah, that's interesting because sometimes when I feel stuck, I'll get like a little plastic bag and go around my house and see what I can donate. Like what needs
Mhm.
to leave, what needs to shift, change. I have
Mhm.
a little space that I teach yoga in and Reiki trainings, and I do it there too. What do I need to, what do I not use this month? What can I move on and bless somebody else with? And
Mhm.
it certainly helps me a little bit with
It does.
Definitely
It
in
it
the
shifts
energy.
the energy right
Hmm.
away, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does. Number three, how can people increase their emotional well-being?
So, emotional well being, number one, and there is a lot of questions around people these days. They're just, no one's getting enough rest, it seems, or there's a lot of
Mhm.
people not understanding the benefits of rest. And maybe meditate more, I think would be a
Mhm.
great idea just to help you get into that space. Stepping outside with nature is a wonderful emotional therapy, so to speak, or very cathartic, getting
Right.
grounded back into Mother Earth. So, look, it is about connecting with the river, the trees, the
Mhm.
gardening, the hiking, the walking the animals, connecting with anything that can get you here centered in that present moment. Even breathing can be grounding. So I do believe all of those things I mentioned are very, very helpful with emotional well-being.
Right, right. One of the things that helped me, and this is from like my teacher days, I would teach school and have a classroom and stop and redirect.
Ah,
And you're going along, and like when I would be teaching the kids, if something wasn't working, was it me or was it the kids, right? So I would stop, I would redirect, let's go in a different way. And so I've brought this into my life where, okay, now I'm realizing I'm running off high functioning anxiety here. Now it's time to rest. So it's just being very mindful and, okay, let me stop and just breathe. Let me
mhm,
go outside. Let me go sit in the sun, right? Let
mhm,
me go take a shower. So
mhm,
you can do that.
mhm.
Catch yourself, but you'll have the tools to
Yeah.
help you through that.
Yeah. Stop and redirect. I love it.
Yeah.
Also, I like to tell people do something different today. Like
Yes.
do something different. Make a
Oh
different
yeah.
meal to eat.
Yeah.
When you drive yourself to the grocery store to work, go a different route, so to speak. Leave at a different time. Leave earlier. Pick up a book. Read a page or a
Hmm.
chapter. Like do something different to incorporate a little bit of a different energy in for your
Yeah.
soul. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that was our last question. And as we were talking, is there anything you may have forgotten or something that you feel called to share with the listeners? The floor is yours.
I just love to have people, number one, sign up for my newsletter. You'll always find out if I'm training. I teach mediumship, I teach psychic awareness, I teach meditation, even. Learn about my classes coming up. I know you'll be able to enjoy them. They're going to be shorter classes, not drawn out over a long period of time. So it becomes more feasible for people to just take a few hours or a few days to practice. Also, I want to say, look, it is about having gratitude. Gratitude is a great manifester. Gratitude is wonderful energy healing into your life. Gratitude opens doors and it will open your heart to all infinite possibilities.
That. Well, thank you, Cheryl, so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join me on this journey.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy. It's been such a joy to be here.
Wonderful. All right, my wonderful listeners, if you'd like your question featured on the podcast, reach out www.readysetreiki.com. My name's Tracy Searight, and this has been Ready Set Reiki.